Hello and welcome to the Synergy Sanctum. This is our series focused on positive life coaching lessons with Squee the Immortal, where we aim to provide everyone with awareness and coaching that is focused on identifying your goals and your values, ensuring that the steps you take on your own adventure are aligned with that return on time that you are seeking, and sharing countless strategies focused on positive mindsets, resilience, and flourishing as a person each and every day. Let's get into today's episode. So you'll recall we talked about this book called Tomorrow Mind that was written by Gabriella Rosen Kellerman and Martin Seligman, and they basically took all of this research and all of these years of investment into this positive psychology field, and they came up with this model of and this way of thinking when it comes to work that would bring these flourishing mindsets to the workplace. So they identified 5 key skills that are critical to flourishing at work, and they captured this into this PRISM acronym, you'll recall. So PRISM standing for prospection, resilience, innovation and creativity, social support, and matter and meaning. So prospection being your ability to see around corners and see into the future, and what are we doing about that, and how are we using this knowledge to then plan for obstacles that might happen. This idea of resilience, to where you can bounce back from the unexpected or things that might pop your comfort zone. You're able to do that, and you're able to think about it in a way to where it's growth rather than giving up. This idea of innovation and creativity. So at work, you're thinking of new ways to do things that might fill your cup, or things that might, make your work a little easier, or bridge it towards the tasks that fulfill you outside of the workplace. Social support, basically this idea that we're all desiring human connection, and we want that connection to be there in the workplace as much as we want it outside of the work, and the connection being fulfilling and supportive in a way that you might be used to outside of the workplace. And then in addition to that, matter and meaning, it's very important for you to feel like your work matters and that you're doing something meaningful, or there's a purpose behind it beyond just the paycheck. And these 5 things here are things that you are practicing already outside of the workplace if you've been following our life coaching videos. And then in addition to that, you're basically going into work with these as a part of your mindset, right? So if I'm going into work trying to plan for the future, for example, then I'm probably going to handle obstacles or the unexpected a little better, right? Or if I'm going into work and I'm thinking about it in a way to where it's meaningful and there's purpose behind it, then I am going to be excited to do the work, even if it is customer service or food service or retail or something that you might not have pictured yourself doing, but you are fulfilled by it because we're thinking about it in a certain way. And then the other novel that we discussed that talks about how to bring all of these positive life coaching strategies and positive psychology to the workplace was An Everyone Culture, written by Robert Keegan and Lisa Lasko-Lahaye. And their idea in this novel was this idea of deliberately developmental organizations. So basically organizations and companies that are focused on their employees developing and learning and growing, and that being as equal a priority as the expected results that they're wanting, or the profits or the bottom line that the CEOs might be seeking. The idea of focusing and having a culture of development is as much of a priority for these organizations as much as whatever else the company might be focused on. So in An Everyone Culture, they go into 3 pillars that are basically necessary to have an organization that is focused on consistent and deliberate development. And the ones that they talk through are this idea of continuous learning, right? So they are encouraging of continuous learning and development. And even if you're not in a company that has this as an organization, right? They're not having this as much of a priority as their results, you can still go into the work and think about it this way, right? So if one of the pillars is continuous learning, I can go into the work as an individual, and my own decisions and mindset can be focused on, okay, I want to learn today. Or if something new comes up, I'm gonna volunteer for it. Or if something unexpected happens, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to avoid it happening again. That's all continuous learning, and it's something that's encouraged in these organizations. this idea of radical transparency as well. So this culture of feedback and consistent clarity around expectations and around opportunities, and it being something that is invited and that those employees are excited about. So again, if you're an individual and you're not necessarily in a deliberately developmental organization, you can be seeking clarity, right? You can be making sure that you have alignment. You can be being clear about your expectations to your boss as well, and what you need to be supported and how you're going to show up. And it's all something that is still fully within your control, even if the company isn't necessarily focused on it as a priority, right? And then the final pillar here is this idea of personal growth. So in directly developmental organizations, they are very invested in the personal growth of their employees, and those employees growing towards their goals, or maybe like work or tasks that are aligned with their signature strengths or their values. And how do we get every individual, regardless of capability or regardless of like current role, to the level and the role that they ultimately want, right? So if you're not satisfied in the current role that you're doing, these organizations focus on your personal growth to get to where you want to be as well, which is awesome, right? And again, it's not something that you need an org to be supportive of, right? So like if you're going into your work and you're prioritizing yourself growing or learning new skills or taking on new challenges, this is aligned, right? You are fulfilling what is necessary, and you are fulfilling what needs to happen for you, to be developing consistently, but also to be growing and utilizing all of these strategies and practices that we've talked about when it comes to flourishing in the workplace. So these two are kind of like a really, really good way of thinking about it. And in addition, they directly relate the positive psychology concepts and all of those life coaching strategies and practices towards a professional workplace, right? But there's a little more here. There's a little more in the sense that like everything that we've talked about and what we've learned together can be directly applied to the work as well, right? So the strategies we talked through when it comes to the comfort zone and how like the initial like unexpected thing might cause you to go into a risk reward scenario where you're in a state of fear and you're deciding if this is worth it. Prioritizing learning and growth and having that mindset of like, I want to continuously learn or I want to personally grow kind of helps you navigate when something unexpected happens, right? Like a new email comes out and all of a sudden there's these new expectations. There's a ton of customers today that we weren't expecting and we don't understand why. It enables you to like go into it with a growth mindset and want to like learn and grow and accomplish whatever task is now before you, right? Or whatever, or overcome whatever obstacle is now before you. And then in addition, there's this idea that like tasks break down into two categories, things that you need to do, right? Versus things that you want to do. So it's very rare that people want to work in their 40-hour-a-week job, but how can we do tasks that we want to do in addition to the ones that we need to do, right? So if you're in a customer service position, you have to support customers, right? It is a need to do task. There's no getting around it unless you promote or move to a different type of role or different type of work. Now, I could, though, do tasks that I want to do on my breaks, right? So instead of just like going onto my break and just kind of looking at my phone or whatever else, I could do a task that I want to do, which then keeps my cup filled and keeps me flourishing, even if the customer service tasks are things that I might not want to do, but that I need to do. And then in addition, I think it's really, really important to have awareness about what your own signature strengths are and what your own values are and your goals and aligning the work and making decisions at work that are directly aligned to it, right? So for example, one of my top 5 signature strengths is honesty. When I'm interacting or I'm talking at work, if I get into this situation where I'm making a decision whether to be honest or not, I might lean towards honesty, right? Because that is a decision that I know fulfills my internal need to be honest and one of my internal character strengths to be honest, right?